What up? It's the Gumbo Pot Podcast. I'm your host, Chef Nigel Henderson.
And I'm Omar Alcivar.
And we'll be interviewing musicians, chefs, and creatives about the creative process and everything that goes into it.
Like what made that singer write that special song? Or why a chef loves to cook a particular dish? Or what was the inspirational spark that set these people on a creative path to success?
These questions and more will be answered on the Gumbo Pot Podcast.
Tune in. It's like I finally get to use this.
So, we rolling. So this is actually kind of a ongoing joke, but that works. So it lets you know how professional we are today.
I appreciate that. I didn't even see what was on the screen. So
Oh, it was a DigiSlate.
cool.
So that's
Y'all,
we're in the game.
Using. You could just,
Anyway.
Okay, cool.
Welcome everybody. This is the Gumbo Pot Podcast. I'm your host Nigel Henderson.
And I am your co-host, Omar. What's up, everybody?
And today we have a very, very special guest, Denise Davis. She is a producer. I looked her up on IMDb.
Oh, no, you didn't.
And I saw acting credits,
No.
co-production credits. You've cut your teeth in the business for some time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity in the house.
Oh,
She
please.
produced the hit show Insecure.
Yes.
It's in your, what season now?
Going into the fourth season.
Going into the fourth season on HBO.
HBO money.
Yes.
She and her partner created a production company, Color Creative.
Correct.
And
Ooh,
this
somebody
partner-
did their homework. All
Little
right.
bit,
Go
you
ahead,
know.
Nigel.
I did do some homework. I knew some of your friends. I made some calls. You know what I'm saying? Scoured the IMDb page. So welcome to the Gumbo Pot Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome,
I
welcome.
appreciate you
And
guys.
customary, we have a little drink before we get
Woo!
started.
Yes.
Let's-
Loosen up everything.
It's not a shot, right?
No,
no.
Okay, cool.
If you-
Because this looks like death.
Oh no, this is a sipper.
Okay.
This is a sipper.
This is a sipper.
It's an old fashioned.
Cheers to y'all.
Eyeballs.
Thank you.
Eyeballs.
Eyeballs. Boom. There we go.
Cheers.
Here we go.
Last episode, we had a studio audience. It's a sipper.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
And they made a lot of noise today. I guess they're kind of quiet. So.
Oh, pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew,
No.
Look at that.
No,
They're
no
mad
one-
because they didn't get a drink.
Well, their drinks, I made them drinks.
Yeah. I was like, I saw like a lot of cups lined up. I didn't know if they were for us.
Those
or-
are all Nigel's.
Never mind. So we're going to finish. This is gonna be-
Nigel has
These
like
are-
4 old-fashioned, like before we can
Hey,
start.
Before we can start, it's my ritual. Get ready for it. So,
it.
on the Gumbo Pop Podcast, we like to have great guests. We want to get your story, kind of get the lay of the land, find out how you get into that creative mode, and how you came to be. So, start it off. Tell us, how did you come to be this great person, Denise Davis?
Well, Nigel, it all starts when a man and a woman come together.
Taking it back.
No, I'm
Wow,
kidding.
okay.
Teach the boy.
No. I mean, how far back you want to go? I'll give you the broad strokes, right?
Yeah, where you from?
Okay. Born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. Grew up there all 18 years of my life. My mom's born and raised, so I'm very much a Vegas kid through and
Okay.
through. Got into video production when I was 16
In Vegas.
in Vegas, but I played basketball my whole life. So then all of a sudden my life flipped, and I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna go to college and go play like, I don't know,
Ball, right?
in WNBA, yeah.
Okay.
And then I discovered video production after I quit basketball, and I was like, oh, what's this?
Okay.
And I basically took that to film.
And this is
I'm-
still at the age of 16.
This is at 16. I was a baby genius.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, but I basically took that to college. My apologies, not film. And I was like, oh, I can go to college for film. This does not sound like a real degree.
But-
I don't know anybody who's done it.
But I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who works in Hollywood. But you know what? Why not? I want to go to college. I want to
Okay.
learn this, and I want to live in New York. So went to Brooklyn College.
Okay.
Moved to New York City.
Damn.
So I lived in Brooklyn for 4 years. Brooklyn College, they call it the Brookman's Harvard, because
Okay.
compared to NYU, it's very cheap. But part of the CUNY system, it's public college, so a lot of locals, a lot of commuters, very much like New York folks,
What was that
immigrants.
experience like coming from Vegas to New York?
Oh, I loved it because I'm in New York, right? So I
That's
was
where you
like,
wanted to
what
be.
is this world? There's
it's
culture
completely
here.
different, yeah.
I was so naive that I was like, oh my God, more people than just Mexicans speak Spanish. Like, who are all these different like cultures and personalities? Like, I was
What
just.
did you get? Dominican? Puerto Rican?
People thought I was Dominican. People thought I was Puerto Rican. I got called Guyanese one time, but it was West Indies Day weekend.
Okay.
So, I was like, I could have been any one of those people. I'm not gonna lie. Vegas to me, growing up there, has very little culture because it's so suburban. It's so like such a newer
tourist-
city. It's
tourist
touristy.
town, right, yeah.
Very much a place where people like come and go and don't really grow up there. And so I feel like I always grew up in this little bubble, and I moved to New York City and just opened my whole world and my point of view. So long story short, went to Brooklyn College, was there for 4 years, majored in film production, minored in TV radio.
Okay.
And I had 12 internships in 4 years.
12
And it was
so
12 internships.
Did you also work a regular 9-to-5 job, or what
No.
was the whole situation? Tell us about the hustle.
Oh, the hustle. So look, single mother household, never
Okay.
had any money, right? I had two options. It was either I'm gonna go get a job and go to school full time and figure it out. Or if I really want this like paid work experience, or this internship experience, it needs to pay me because I can't have both. And I
Right,
can't afford both. So 11 out of those 12 internships were paid. And every semester, people are like, well, how did that happen? Like, I'm like, I didn't know anybody. Like, I would just, I don't know, apply to 40, 50 different things every semester. I get responses from like maybe 4 or 5. I'd go in for those 1, 2, or 3 interviews. And then I would come out with a paid internship. So, to be honest, the trajectory of the internships, I didn't really have a choice. Very, very little. I don't remember a time where I had to choose between 1 or 2. It was just like.
Well, what were the internships for? Like, was it all film based?
They were more media based because in
Okay.
New York City, it's not like Hollywood, right? So it's not
Right.
everything is in TV and film. But I knew being in like, the one of the biggest cities in the world, there was so much entertainment and media there that there was no excuse to not go get some experience. So one of my very first internships was like, I was an editing intern for a very small group. For a very small company, 3 people who were doing brand content for like, what was J-Lo's fashion line? Do you remember when she had a fashion line?
J-Lo's fashion line?
Someone, no J-Lo fans in the house?
No.
No.
J-Lo
Oh
fans.
my gosh. And if I said it, everyone would be like, oh yeah.
What's that YouTube thing? Hey, leave it down in the comments below. Let us know what J-Lo's fashion line is.
Well,
And
J-Lo,
you could get a free ticket too.
to J-Lo's concert?
J-Lo sponsored by
I don't know.
Chef Nigel Anderson.
Really ain't going.
No, but I'll figure it out. So, okay, clearly that's not a good one. But that was my first internship, right?
Okay.
But that parlayed into one semester I was interning with the Blue Man Group, like the in-house video
shit.
production
Okay.
team,
Damn.
because they shot all of their own shows.
That's dope as
What's the
fuck.
fashion name?
And they just never talked to you?
Someone found it.
J-Lo by Jennifer Lopez.
That's why.
Vavala is something I found.
J-Lo by Jennifer Lopez. You know,
Face?
Sweet
I,
face?
I feel like Sweet Face might have been it.
Fashion?
Oh,
That's
J-Lo had.
J-Lo
She had
got
multiple
hits.
fashion lines. Well, it was one of them,
They
guys.
all
It was
popped.
one of them.
It was a
was
popping
fine.
one.
It was fine. They were sold out
You said
everywhere.
some of the outfits?
Everywhere. No. But anyway,
She had
so
sweatsuits. San Juan.
Velour.
actually, I was gonna say it was the velour with the
Diddy
visors.
and
That's
J-Lo
what it was.
collab?
It was the
goodness.
visors with the baby pink. It's fine.
Nice.
No, but so anyways, a bunch of internships. I think one of my favorite ones is I interned with The View, the talk show.
Okay.
And this was like Barbara Walters was still on air. Whoopi Goldberg was like the original like cast, and so that was really interesting. But anyways, I just hustled. I literally was like, I'm hustling. I'm in New York. I'm not gonna not take advantage of being here.
How was Whoopi Goldberg though? Hold up.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg
I
held
wanna
the
talk
elevator
Whoopi.
doors open for me one time, and because
Yeah?
I was just a little intern, had all this stuff in my hands, and she saw me turn the corner, and she was like, "Hey, baby, you need help?" I was like, I mean, you could just. She was like, I could open the elevator's door, but I was
good.
scared to talk to her. Yeah.
Hi. I got bags.
And she opened the doors, and I said thank you, and that was the only time we ever spoke.
But how did it make you feel?
I mean, but
It's very special
of
because I was like,
course.
she didn't have to do that.
Nah.
She could have just made me struggle.
He was looking for more dirt. He thought.
No,
Nah,
dude,
I
I
ain't
like
got-
Whoopi
I ain't-
Goldberg. She's
I ain't got no
she's
dirt.
an EGOT.
She's an guy, but she's herself.
Yeah.
Very chill, very low key, which is great. So, anyways, I had a great time. All these internships, all these experiences, and then I was only in New York for 4 years because when I was getting ready to graduate, I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna go be a producer. And I decided that.
So
like,
you knew right then and there you're like, okay, I'm not
Freshman-
even out of school.
I knew
wanna
like
be a producer.
more freshman year in college. So here's the thing, because I was just this young girl, right? Minority woman, like just in this industry, I was like, I don't know nothing about. When I showed up to college my freshman year, I was like, well, I feel like I'm gonna be around all these kids who are like these young Steven Spielbergs who was making movies on their parents' cameras and like know what the hell they're doing, and I
Right,
don't know
and you don't know
anything,
anything.
right?
Got it,
So I read a lot of books. I did a lot of
Okay.
research, and I was like, well, let me know something. I was like, let me at least figure out what I want to do because I feel like I'm going to meet all these other kids who know what they want to do, and I don't know anything. So my freshman year, like going into college, I got a couple books, and one particular stood out, and it was called "So You Want to Be a Producer." And I read that, and I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm gonna be a producer.
Okay.
And so I took that to undergrad, and whenever
That's
I
cool.
introduced myself as such, they were like, "No one wants to be a producer."
Yeah, no one ever really says
like, that's not- that's
I
not-
wanted to go be a producer.
No,
I was like,
not-
I went for this, then all of a sudden I started producing, so I guess I'm a producer now.
No,
Like,
no, I was 18
that's-
years old, and people were like,
that means you went for it though. Like,
well, I just had it in the back of my head. And then I think all these life experiences, all the internships, the more I learned, the more I just saw things up close, the more I was like, yeah, I still think I want to be a producer. And I got to try a little bit,
don't
right?
like
So like I had to take an editing class. I remember I had to take a cinematography class in undergrad. And I had a C-, and I was like, well, I'm not a DP. So like, you know, I was like
know
trial
this
by
ain't my
error.
voice.
they're like
There you go.
everything's
And-
on a Dutch tilt.
What? And meanwhile, business of film and producing class, it was like A++++. Like, you are a producer. No, but so that being said, when my 4 years was up, I was like, but I'm not confident as a producer. I was like, I don't know if I could just like go out and get a job and tell people because I don't know if I really understand it. You know, the
And then folks are looking for body of work as well. So.
yeah, and like my undergrad experience was just a little bit video production natured, right? I learned a little bit about everything. So I ultimately decided I was going to go to grad school. And I was
Okay.
like, you know what? I want to go to LA. I hate LA. I grew up hating LA. Now I love it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Sidebar. But I was like,
We got time.
we got
I thought I knew you.
You know?
I mean, I grew
kinda
up in
hurts.
Vegas.
Hurt.
So I used to visit LA a lot as a child and be like, I don't like this place.
Nah.
So I never
feel
saw
you.
myself living here. And then
I don't begrudge that. Being honest, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
you're like, I hate it too. It's cool.
Yeah, I
It's
know
cool.
a lot
Sometimes
of people.
you
It's
hate
like you hate it sometimes.
But you're from here.
Yeah,
And
well,
you go
now-
somewhere else. And
Yeah,
you're
so
like,
you
"Ooh, I
ain't
need
got
to
no
go back."
choice. You
Right.
ain't got no choice.
I love
Now-
Inglewood though.
Yeah,
See,
he
Inglewood's
rides
where
for
it's at.
Inglewood.
But see, but that's the thing. I've been in LA now
Inglewood.
for 9 years, and I've developed much more love than hate for it.
Good.
So,
Good.
you know,
Plus,
you
you've lived in
appreciate
the
it.
normal LA areas. You know, there's a lot
Yeah.
of people, they move here like, oh, I hate LA. I was like, well, you live in Hollywood.
Well,
so-
no, or it's like, well, why'd you move to Burbank? Like,
Exactly.
what did you think
Yeah.
you were
What
going to
you
do
think
in
we were
Burbank?
accomplishing?
Yeah.
You meet anybody from LA? No.
No.
Just Hollywood folks. It's like, oh.
Or Pasadena. Well, why'd you move to Pasadena? You're
Yeah.
not in LA. What are you talking about?
Nothing in
Anyway,
Pasadena.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. So that's how I ended up here. I basically looked at grad school and said, it's 2 years. I can focus just on producing. I'll get my master's in producing. And you know what? If I applied to grad schools only in LA, because LA is the Mecca, it's Hollywood, right? I was like, I want to try it. I don't have to love it. And if I don't like it, I can always come back to New York.
Right.
Yeah.
So I applied to these 2 grad schools, applied to USC and AFI for producing, and said, you know what? If I get in, it's meant to be. I'll try it, and we'll see what happens. And didn't get into SC, but I got an AFI, and I was like, well, I guess I'm moving to LA. So 22 years old, packed up New York, and came out here in 2010 and started
A lot of
grad
people,
school.
they would
So-
just like try to hold it down after graduating and just stay
yeah,
in New
well,
York.
see, but here's the thing: people forget. Like, so grad school for me was 2 things. A, it got me a ticket here without having to get a job. I was like, I'm here
There you
for
go.
2 years, school full time.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about work. Don't really have to worry about like where am I gonna live? What am I gonna do? I was like, I'm a school. I'm a student. I knew how to
just
play
gonna
the
go to school.
student
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Yeah, I
There
was
you go.
like,
There
I
you
know
go.
how to be a broke college student.
Yeah.
So sign me up for 2 more years. Like,
Okay.
I'm not in no
Nice.
rush. And also because I knew LA was gonna be such a beast that I was like, well, at least I can learn my way around. I can do some networking. I can see if I like it. You know, and just like you never know. But it was another cushion / bubble that
Right.
protected me before I had to be a real adult. But I can tell you when I graduated from AFI at 24 years old and didn't have any more school ahead of me, I was
It's
like,
oh shit.
Now-
so now I got to be a real adult.
Things
I was like, wait
change.
a second. At that point, I've been in school for 18 years of my
Right,
life.
you're
But,
like, what am I gonna do now?
So now I have to be a real adult, like an adult though.
well, that
Damn.
and all my friends, you know, if they didn't go to college, they've been adult for 6 years already.
Yeah.
And I was like, so how much is rent?
Yeah, I gotta pay what?
How many bills do you have? What do you mean?
What
I'm
is
no-
a credit card?
What do you mean I'm no longer on your health insurance, Mom? what is that? What does that mean? I have to go get
Oh,
my
that's
own health
that burn.
insurance.
You go to the
So
hospital.
what
and
I
you don't
what I
even-
want to know though, here's what's interesting. Okay, so you're in school, you're in grad school to be a producer.
Mm-hmm.
What are the classes like? Like, what is a curriculum for someone who wants to be a producer? Because I feel like you could ask a bunch of people, they don't even know what
Producers
producers do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
So,
My family still tells people I'm a director, and I'm like, it's not the same thing, but it's okay.
so what's like just
Oh.
like kind of like I don't know, like a couple courses that like someone would take as a production student or like
Well, I guess in the grad school level specifically, it was more like we took a class on marketing, right? Film
Okay.
marketing.
Okay.
How do you market a film? What is that process like? We had a class on, I forget what it was called. It was like legal, law, business of law. I don't know. But it was basically very, like we looked at contracts. We had this
okay. Yeah.
old
good.
school professor who's been in the game for a long time who talked really
That's
slow.
a good foundation.
And I don't know, it was one of my least favorite classes, but you learned a lot. But it was also like, oh, I need to know this stuff. You know, you know how to look at contracts, how
You
to
need
like
to look at
what
the
kind
contract.
of what kind of
You gotta look
deals,
at your
you know, as a producer that you might be, you know, privy to. What kind of negotiations do you need to do?
I signed on to this without even reading it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Nigel's supposed to be paying me.
There's no contract.
No, it
in
was
the
on a
mail.
napkin.
It's in blood.
in the mail.
It was on a napkin.
It's on a
It's in the
napkin.
mail, dog. I told you that. Told you when we started.
You
It's
ain't
in the
never-
mail.
yeah.
But
never
that,
gonna
I mean,
see
that
it.
makes sense. That makes yeah, you do have to work with a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a class on like post, and you know, one of my favorites is an AFI. What's special is that it's very physical production heavy. So what that means is like I spent a lot of time on set and making stuff versus being in the classroom. So I had classes, but your first year alone, there's only 140 students total in your year. So there's I was one of 28 producers who got accepted. So there's 28 producers,
Okay, so
28
it's-
directors. You know, there's different disciplines.
Very competitive.
Very competitive, and you're all like the whole idea is that you're supposed to collaborate together. And so you pick. I produced 3 short films my first year with different teams, but you're also required to crew on other people's shorts. And so by the end of the
Okay.
year, 84 short films get made out of your first year class, and everyone has worked on 3, okay, in their
Okay.
capacity. So I produced 3, someone's directed 3, yada yada.
And you've done different roles within someone else's work as well. 'cause
Well,
you-
yes and no, but the beauty about AFI is I can only produce. So if you come in as a director, you can only direct. You can't do my job. I can't do your
Oh,
job
nice.
because
Okay.
the reality is that's how the real world works as
Yeah.
it relates to the industry.
Right.
You know, and so they really prepare you for that because some other schools they teach you the wrong way, which is that Altura version, which is like you could do it all, and it's like that's not how it really works when you get out of
Yeah,
here. You
because
know,
you need to show up and be like, this is what I do.
yeah, and you need to know like, oh, I got to work with an editor, or oh, I got to work with a cinematographer, or oh, I got to work with this production designer, and what do those jobs do? And so you learn that.
you learn the roles, but you don't
learn
have
the
to
roles.
learn the.
Yeah, and there's like kind of less pressure too, because it's not about the money, right? You're not doing it at a level where there's so much like at stake.
Yes.
You could just learn and educate yourself. And so the beauty of that was that you know there's 84 short films getting made, and every Thursday and Friday AFI had a thing called Narrative Workshop. And favorite class ever because what would happen is in the mornings on Thursdays and Fridays they would screen 2 films each morning.
Okay.
To the short films that were made
made-
weeks ago. Yeah,
right,
within
okay,
the thing. So there's like a
perfect.
whole schedule. So they screen them, and then that whole team, after the screening, has to go up on stage, and you can't say nothing. And the whole time there's a moderator, and all he's doing is moderating your feedback from your classmates.
Oh, shit.
And so for an hour, you're sitting there hearing what everyone thinks about your
Oh,
film.
my God.
And you are not allowed to speak. You can't
That's
defend
a
yourself. You
tough
can't be like,
look.
well, you know, the reason why I did it. You just got to sit there and take it.
I mean, like, well, you just didn't get
Under,
it.
under the lights, you got some sweat just rolling down. Like, looks like a Denzel tears. Shit is just dropping.
Plus, you got like film students who are like, I found a derivative.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, man, you
Or
shut
you're
up.
someone like me who always has something to say to the point to where our moderator
people
stopped
are
calling
looking
on
for
me.
you.
Well, our moderator would stop calling on me because he'd be like, anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else have a comment? And then someone would be like, he'd be like, yes. And they go, I think Denise has a comment, something that she wants to say. Because I was like, well, I mean, we here to get feedback. You're going to hear my feedback.
Yeah.
I'm
So
going
then,
to
but
tell
then
you.
question, did that put a bullseye on you when it was feedback for your project?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. Well, because here's the thing. I think personally, especially in the creative space, like feedback and getting people's opinions and you know, there's never a place where you can't make something better, right? And I think people are always so precious about like, it's my baby. I put in so much love and joy, but you can always make it better. And then sometimes
That's how I
you
feel
have
about
to.
this podcast.
Well, but it's like you kind of, but you have
Leave your
to
comments below.
like or dislike. No, but you
Tell Nigel what you think about him.
DM him on the side.
Please don't. Don't. These words hurt.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Sorry.
How much do you drink?
This is just the first one. We can keep going.
We keep
We
going.
have
I'm never gonna make it to my
a
party.
different bottle today.
You'll
but it's
make it to
bourbon.
your party.
I'm just gonna be. I'm not gonna need a drink.
You're gonna be
That's all.
relaxed.
It's gonna be great.
You're gonna walk into this party. It's one of these, Hollywood things. Lights behind you, cameras flashing. You'd be like, "Hey,
Nah,
I feel good tonight."
It's like, no.
nah,
That's
it's
not
not.
gonna
Nah. I sneak
No?
in through the back door and say, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I go.
Yeah,
go
because
home.
you are quick to hop out. She's the queen of. She'll get to an event,
mingle a little bit,
do
say
that
hello.
tornado hello, and then you're like,
That Irish goodbye.
"Where's Denise?"
Yeah.
I
No,
don't-
that's perfect.
I don't like being in those situations. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a whole
So what are
thing.
you doing now?
Anyway,
Stop and
so-
chat.
It's a lot of that
You don't
small
have time
talk.
for a stop
Yeah,
and
yeah.
chat.
So what have you been up to? You grinding?
But you also gotta remember you've been
Project
doing that
you
all
on.
day in meetings and on calls. So I'm just like,
So we're getting you ready
yeah.
to
But
step out
that's
into
the
all
other
of
thing.
that.
But now I feel like it's just all Like you already have it memorized. You just,
Yeah.
you already know.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
like now
So then we get
It's
to
like,
really
now,
ask.
well, no, here's the thing.
questions.
Now it's so bad to where I just joke, even though it's like
Right.
bad jokes. People are
Do-
like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Busy as ever." The hustle all the time.
Do
Like, because
you-
you're just like, I don't. What do you want me to say?
And
Like,
then you
I'm
get
not
stuck.
gonna go.
You have to do junkets, right?
Not necessarily. I leave that to Issa. But like, as a producer, the beauty about producing, the reason why I love this space is that I never have to be famous, right? Like, it's like
Right.
I don't want that part of it. I want the money. I want the power. I want the ability to create things as I see them, right, to the best of their ability, or to help things just like become a reality. That's the other fun part about producing is your job is to create something out of nothing.
You get to
right?
make stuff.
You get to make stuff, right? And you're like the pin that makes it all happen. So, but what's not required from that is that you got to be famous. People need to know you. You just need to know what you're doing,
Yeah.
And I think the other crazy thing about LA is like, there's so many people who are like, I'm a producer. And I'm like,
Well, just you wait after this podcast episode airs.
no, I know. People are going to be like,
You're gonna be famous. All 50 of our subscribers.
I was gonna put you on.
pew, 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 pew. I'm gonna,
Yes.
I'm gonna put you out there. I'm gonna put you out there.
Oh, I want to get a testimonial from her. Like, I was no one. All I did was produce Insecure for HBO, but then I went on the
On the
Gumbo
Gumbo
Pop
Pop
podcast
podcast.
and Chef Nigel Henderson.
It's actually better. I might just do a PSA.
You should.
Do you want to be a producer?
Get that close up.
Do you like food? Do you like to talk and drink? Come to the Gumbo Pop podcast.
I like to say
There you go.
sip,
So oh, wow. All right.
consume,
We're gonna put some really like nice music under that.
and slow it down.
It's gonna be
and
amazing. It's,
So-
Sarah McLachlan ain't got nothing on our PSA.
There you
You're the
go.
puppy dog guys.
So you graduated.
Yes.
No, graduated. Excuse me.
Yes.
The whiskey's kicking in
Twice.
Cool.
Twice. Okay.
Oh, 'cause she
So you
went back to
graduated,
master's.
and now you're like.
I
okay.
graduated twice. I did.
Twice. She
graduated
I
twice.
I have 2 degrees, Nigel.
Once you
Whoa,
finish,
whoa.
I mean,
Whoa,
let's
whoa.
not shortchange the guests.
Yeah, please.
Their
Well, once
degrees.
you-
Because they are on
once-
my wall, okay?
Excuse me. You are out of grad school.
Yes.
You're like, okay, now it's a time to be an adult.
Which I wasn't ready for.
You weren't ready for it. Where are you at now? What's the headspace? What are you doing?
Well,
How are you?
how am I navigating, right?
How are you navigating
Well,
your
there's
ship?
2 important things to note. Thing number 1, there was this amazing new industry shift while I was in grad school. So I go to AFI, start at 2010, and I come out in 2012, June of 2012. In that 2-year span of time, there's this new thing called digital that just, I don't know, appeared.
pops up.
Like, it was always there. YouTube's been around, right? But it really wasn't until the early 2010s where digital spending was a thing, where all of a sudden, like, I think in 2011, I remember going in my second year is when YouTube invested $100 million in 100 channels. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was like a big deal because no one was spending money in digital content yet. And that was like the first push. And so I'm in grad school going,
Interesting.
there's like this whole new lane that's opening up right now that
Right.
we're not being taught at school because these people don't know nothing
They're
about
still
it.
back in the old days using old equipment.
Yeah, but like all my friends are into it. I'm helping a couple people put things together, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, it may become a film, television, and digital kind of industry, right? So right off the bat, because of the things that I learned at AFI, like the truth in the producing program is someone trained me as like a line producer, and what that means is like I can budget, I can schedule. You can give me a script, and I can tell you how much it's gonna cost, how to shoot it, and what you need to do in order to get it done, right? Like that's the way my brain thinks as it relates to
No, that's perfect.
like being a line producer. So that being said, I was getting ready to graduate, and I'm like, there's a new industry. I know how to make things, right? I know how to physically produce things and help you get it made. And secondly, the traditional means of our industry is like go be an assistant, go work in an agency, work your way up,
Yep.
Yeah,
wait to get promoted, put in your hours, right? And I was
And you
like,
may one day
become a
shine.
producer. Well, yeah, like that's how a lot of
That's
people
how it
make
goes,
it,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So, but I looked at that and I was like, yeah, I ain't got that much time. I ain't wasting my time doing that because no shade, because a lot of people were very successful, but I felt like it was
traditional grind.
yeah, but I felt like it was a waste of time because I'm like, I can go out tomorrow and go make other people's stuff, right? Let me go make other people's shit. Like, give me a script and I'll go help you make it. And to me, that was just more enticing and more worth like the time and money I just spent in 6 years of film school.
Yeah.
So I decided as I was getting out of AFI that I was just gonna go freelance. I was like, I'm gonna go put myself out there as a producer, go network, send my resume around. I'd done all these shorts in grad school, so I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna go make other people's stuff. So that being said, I met a young filmmaker who told me about a Google group. Okay.
Okay.
Because I was just networking, and same day that I met him for coffee, he did two things. He sent me a link to join the Google group, and then he forwarded me a job posting that got posted in that group. And he was like, I don't know if you're joined, but this just made me think of you because of our great chat today. And it said line producer, web series, paid. 3 keywords. And I'm like,
Did you even look at the name of what the series was?
no, it had no details. It was
No
just like
details.
line producer, web series, paid. And I'm like, cool, graduating in 2 weeks. I'm starting to put my stuff out there. Like,
Okay.
these are the type of jobs I need to apply to. Submitted my resume. And it's like in the middle of the day. That night, I got an email back from this woman. Her name was Issa Rae. And it was like, hey, will you meet for an interview tomorrow morning? And I was like, yeah, cool, dope. And then I'm like, who is she? So I Googled her, discovered Awkward Black Girl Season 1, discovered her other content, and was like, oh, I've been under a rock.
Like,
like,
Where you
who
been,
is this
sister?
woman? What is this crazy show?
She's inputting stuff.
Good morning.
Well, basically, but I was like, oh, but her shit is dope. And this is the kind of stuff that I need to be producing and doing. Because again, she was in digital, right? I was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is exciting. Met her the next morning. 24 hours later, she's like, cool, you hired. We're shooting in 5 days. Here's the episode. Episode 4 of season 2 of Awkward Black Girl was my first credit. And that is how I met Issa. And 7 years later, we still work together today. But like, you know, that was coming, I was like literally getting out of grad school. But I always think it's like,
What was
right
that
place,
interview like?
very just like small talk, because she brought a colleague of ours who still works with us, Benoni, who's also from Vegas.
Okay.
So who knew my ex-girlfriend at the time. So we were just like keen. Like
Okay.
it was almost like at the end it was like, oh yeah,
We
you
all
want to
know
talk
each
about me
other.
as a
We're
producer?
good.
Like should I
Yeah.
talk about like
Yeah.
how I'm gonna help you
Oh,
make
this was an interview. Huh?
Yeah.
My bad.
But it was just
You-
like super chill. But I also was very confident in telling her like, look, I don't ever want to be you. You know, like this is what I've just been spending 6 years learning about. Like these are the kind of like type of content that I want to help produce, and you know, basically like I'm what you need in so many words. And she trusted me, but you know, the reality is I think everything's kismet. It's like right place, right time, right? Like there's
that's how it
no,
goes.
yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind though. Had I not gone to AFI, I don't know if I would have been equipped to be who she needed, what she was looking for in a producer. Because it was like, oh, I know how to. You have a budget, you have a whole season 2 order. Like I can make this happen for you. And I had the confidence of like, I'm not a producer, right? Like I was like, I'm not making this up just because I want to work with you. I was like, look, I didn't know who you were 24 hours ago, but what you're doing is dope.
Okay.
I think I can do the job, and
help
you
you.
know, and
There's
that's
a
how
little
it started.
budget.
So
Well, the other thing, there's a budget.
there's a budget.
Hey.
I mean.
Paid, you know.
But was it
your
like
job
paid,
here.
or was it like, you know, freelance pay? It was
We
like,
got sandwiches in the
you
back.
know, it was the hustle. It was the hustle. But look,
Croissant sandwiches.
here's the thing. I wouldn't have changed it for anything. Like, I
Right.
think those
No, I
those
mean-
early years and my freelance days, because Insecure didn't happen for another 3.5, 4 years after that, right? So it's like, well, what did you do in the meantime? I was a freelancer. So I worked with Issa when she had a script. She was like, yo, I got this thing I want to do it this day. Here's a budget. Cool. And then I'd go and do it with her. And then when she didn't have that, because Issa was like trying to get herself put on, people called me and referred me for other jobs. So I was
Okay.
producing music videos. I was producing other short films from filmmakers, other digital series at that point, because then I started to have digital experience.
Okay.
And so, you know, companies would be like, we have $20,000. Do you know what to do with it? I'm
Yeah.
like,
You're like,
absolutely.
Pay me a nice chunk of
Absolutely. I know how to cut that up and go do a week shoot.
So at this point, you've worked with her in and out, and you're still hustling, obviously, job to job. As a
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck, freelancing. Did anything like just stick out where you just like, yo, this working with them, it just seemed like it was popping, or was it like, oh, we got a good opportunity, let's go?
With Issa or just
With
in
Issa,
freelance?
with Issa. I mean, freelancing, we all know you have some great jobs, you have some that you don't like, some things you like to do, some things you don't. Got it. But obviously something brought you back to working in that scenario. Was it the opportunity, or was it just like off the bat, you were like, okay, this is the right place, the right time?
I mean, it was a little bit of both. I mean, honestly, as I started working with her and being involved in the content she was making, you know, I realized outside of all the other freelance jobs, like I was more passionate about that, right? Because we're doing content for Black and brown folks. We're doing content that no one else is making on the big screen. Meanwhile, my little music videos with 2 people in front of the green screen, I was like,
What music videos do you make?
oh, we don't talk about this. No, actually, I had one of my most
Give me
best
one.
claim to date videos that did the best. Is I did a Bastille video early on, right before they popped off, and so there was a moment where a couple years later I was like, "How many views did that get?" I was like, "Who was this band?" And I was like, "Oh, y'all became like a band." Okay. That was a very fun video. We shot that for $50,000, and it has like hundreds of millions of views, and who knew?
Well, there you go.
But it was just like random stuff like that. So like I said, not things that I was like, oh yeah, this is my
just
calling.
you had to pay the bills.
Yeah,
and you gotta
it was just
take
like-
some jobs, some
Yeah,
experience.
someone hired me. That was cool. But
So-
the stuff with Issa was like, I care about it, you know?
So much to the point. You had a role in one of those episodes.
See, this is where you're going to try to bring up my acting credit.
Hey,
To this day,
Google.
that is like the role that is not allowed to be talked about. Only because it was the one time Issa was like, Denise, you could do this. And then ever since then, she's like, no, girl, you can't act. You can't act.
You're
I had
a
one
hell
li-
of a producer, though.
Let me tell you, as many sets as I've been on, especially by that time, I had one line. I was the restaurant hostess.
Okay.
When they walk into the restaurant, and I'm supposed to say, hello. Here are your friends. I took about 20 takes. I kept missing my cue. The sound guy was like, sorry, cut. Denise, you're missing your mark because the boom is here.
Right.
You're saying your line
line
over
over
there, so we're not getting it. Like,
Here are your friends.
no, but
She
like,
looked dead at the camera. Hello.
well, and then Issa would
Hi.
be like,
Here are
Can-
your friends.
well, she was like, can you not be so stiff? And I was like, okay, here are your friends. And she was like, can you act like you actually work at a restaurant? Here are your friends. Okay, Denise, can you actually walk to the table and seat them like if you were a host? Like, it was like one of those things where I was like, man, acting is hard.
Like, I'm not trying to do
No,
this.
I got to think about all these things. Like, I got to worry about where the mic at, where the camera at, what's the line, who am I talking to, like,
Yeah.
how am I saying it? It was
Like,
just,
be aware of the camera. Don't look at the camera.
That's
You're just
beautiful.
Like, what?
so like it was awful, guys. So to this day, now there's a joke where there's things like, okay, wait, could you not? Because it's not a credit, but we did a web series called The Choir a couple years ago.
Okay.
And they made me be a character because it was someone's wife, and they were like, Denise, just do it. I was like, okay. And then Denise goes, but you don't have any lines. I was like, but no, are you sure you don't want me to? No, we're good. Don't do it.
You just get...
So I have these 2 cameos in that web series, and both times you just see me.
Just background.
But
forever.
you had
I just,
close-ups,
look,
right?
I just look like I love him, but I'm like, it's like isolated. I walk into a room with him, but I don't say anything.
There was close-ups too, right? Right on your face.
They're kind of medium shots, yeah.
Medium
I do
shots.
have a cameo in Insecure, but it wasn't like on screen. They made me do a photo shoot.
We got celebrities in the
This is the
house,
whole
baby.
thing. This is the whole thing. But I kept asking for a cameo with lines, and I ruined it for
She's
myself.
just
She
like,
won't
nah.
do it. To this day, I now just joke. I'd be like, hey girl, you need a no? Okay.
Season 5, I think I think we can get that campaign working so that we can get you on it.
Good luck
with
with
lines.
that. Nah, good luck with that. It's just
We
We
can
can get
start
you a
a
monologue.
No.
I mean, we don't want to overshoot.
I was told I
but-
could be a cadaver.
Oh, Jesus.
I could play dead.
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm
CSI?
kidding. That's-
Jesus
As long as there's no lines. Guys,
When
I'm not an actress. I'm
When
not. And the best thing is when guys try to hit on you, and that's the first thing. Oh, so you work in film.
Oh, you an
So
actress,
you an
baby.
actress,
So
huh?
you're an
You look like it.
Have
No.
you? Yeah.
No.
How many projects you working on? You know what I'm saying? I'm actually a director too, you know, and a rapper and a producer. What else they give you?
A little bit of everything. What's
What does he do?
I don't know. He's
She said we holler. So
he has a
holler.
lot of experience doing that because he
Not at
also
all.
brought in the voice.
Had the voice, brought it in, cut it in.
It is so tough.
Not just like, oh, I did this all the time. I know who you're talking about.
Hey, baby.
I know who you're
Hey,
talking
let me
about.
holler at you real quick. Hey, what's your name? Is you an actress?
Oh my
Nah,
god.
no. The worst are like Lyft Uber drivers.
That
Those
was
are the
a.
ones.
Oh.
Those are the ones.
Those are
that
the
are
best.
just- I lie about what I do all the time.
Really?
Sometimes. I mean, because they ask, so what do you do? I work in accounting. It's really.
Oh, have
So
you
you
ever
know how to
said that
count.
you're a producer and then you had him like try to pitch you?
Oh yeah, I've gotten business cards.
wow. So funny.
I've gotten like,
That sucks.
oh, anything I've seen. The worst is every time I go to my dentist's office, they ask me the same thing, and they go, what show is it? What is there anything? You work on Fox, right? No.
You work on Fox?
And then
You're
I
like,
say,
yeah,
but
news.
I kid you not, this is because I just went to the dentist yesterday, and I was like, this is like the 3rd time in 2 years they keep asking me what I do, and then what show I work on, and I tell them, and for the most part, some people are like, oh my god, but for whatever reason, my dentists are always they always go, well, never seen it. I'm gonna have to check it out. Is it any good? And I'm like, yeah.
That's pretty
But then
dope.
it also
People
just,
Just
talk
on
about it.
HBO.
You know what I'm
but it's
saying?
also just like the reality where you're just like, some people it's just like, God bless you. I wish I just had a regular job where I'm like, I don't care. Like, because you get a Lyft Uber driver and you say, and they're like, what? You work for what show? Oh my God. Did I tell you I'm a writer?
I have this project that I'm really working on right now, and it's amazing.
It's amazing. Do you want me to tell you about it? Well, let me tell you
You're gonna
about
find a gym one of those days, though.
You're gonna meet a guy like Omar.
It all
He's a
starts
nice
the same.
George Clooney
Okay,
face.
so this guy's a driver, right? You're like, oh, all right.
He's driving. Yes.
Okay, so wait.
Sorry. We digress.
We derailed a little bit.
Sorry.
We derailed a little bit.
Okay, so you're working with Issa. You're doing Awkward Black Girl. When does Color Creative happen?
Color
Was that
Creative.
after Insecure?
This
first
was,
season
No, right before,
or right
actually.
before?
It's funny. It was a year before. So 2012 was when I worked with Issa. Summer, right? We spent a year finishing up Awkward Black Girl, going in 2013. And in 2014 is when Color Creative kind of was birthed.
Okay.
And a lot of it came from, her own experience in like the traditional studio system and just developing a different TV show that was before Insecure and being like, this traditional model is like broken. There could be a more inclusive, faster, and just better way to retain writers' voices when, trying to tell their stories. And so out of that random idea came Color Creative, which Issa named it. And it started with us financing and producing 3 independent comedy TV pilots that we just thought were dope. And Issa spent a lot of her own money and almost went broke doing it. And we shot these pilots over the summer of 2014, premiered them at Urban World Film Festival, and that we was doing something. We was like, woo, we did it. And then we went to go try to do it all over again and then ran out of money and was like, okay. But we were always happy we just launched it because then it existed, right? We had a website, we had a brand logo, we had a mission. And in 5 years, it's crazy that it was 5 years ago, but it's evolved now into so many different things as a company, but the mission and the heart of it's still the same.
Okay.
And what we focus on is like trying to work with emerging new talent, specifically writers, and, taking the risk to help them get their projects made. So that's the Color Creative show. I do that all the time. Can you tell that I talk about it a lot?
Yeah. You're like,
I got very like
you
librarian.
got it
I
like
was
that. You're
like,
like, so here's our mission.
this is what we do.
This is what it is.
I just have
so
to say
glad
I'm
you
proud.
started.
He's proud. I've known
proud.
Nigel since I was in college.
Yes.
Really?
True story. I don't know if he told everyone that. But
I didn't tell everyone the story, but just how small the world is.
It's very small.
She came down with a group of friends to New Orleans, and she's still in school. She's like, "Yo, would you guys like to see this project that I'm working on?" And she puts the project on, and we're watching it. And one of the people in the project is a friend of the family. I've watched him from being a baby to now he's in her project. I'm like, wait, that's Marcus, and that's Marcus who is now in Blackish.
Oh, okay.
Random, very small
Super
world,
small
but it's just
world.
like, first of all, this Denise is chill. This Denise is cool, calm, and collected. When I first met her, she was a mile a minute. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. This is amazing. I have this project that I'm doing, and you're gonna love it because I'm amazing. And da da da. Now Denise is like,
He's telling you now. He was like,
no, I wasn't.
She's
but
never gonna make
she was
it.
driven. She was always driven.
That's hilarious. But it's true. I was a hustler. That was
She's
the thing.
driven, a hustler, and she
Now-
tell
here's
you
the thing.
everything she's working on when you first
I mean,
meet her.
yeah.
and
How
she-
else
it
you
was-
gonna know though?
But also,
No, exactly.
now I gotta do that no more because I'm like, now,
Because you popping.
I'm like, now I made it. You don't
Because
even know me.
you
Yeah,
No,
popping.
yeah.
no, I'm kidding.
I got it.
You popping. But
You know who I am.
You know who I am. I mean, I still talk a mile a minute, but that's just when I get excited.
Nah.
So-
Well, you excited because you've been talking to Mile Man with us.
And Nigel was like, who is this like 20-year-old girl like about to give me like a seizure? What is happening?
But
No.
it was great.
But
And
Nigel hooked me up with an internship
so many years ago.
so many
At
years
what,
ago.
Overbrook?
So,
At
at
Overbrook.
Overbrook.
Yeah. Old days.
When I moved to LA, it was my only internship in between my first and second year at AFI.
Okay.
And
Nice.
Nigel hooked that up.
Thank you. I try to put on folks, you know what I'm saying? Marquise was on our last episode. He
Oh,
was actually
yeah.
an intern as well.
Yes, he was. That's
At
how we
Overbrook.
connected. Oh, well, after we both were interns, we all connected. We had an intern reunion a little bit.
That's cool.
They all bossed up and I became a chef.
It's side,
I
you
can
know.
cook good sandwiches though.
You can.
Yeah, I can.
You're
I
a
can.
good chef.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all like
Omar, what do you do? Do you cook?
He's amazing. Omar is actually marvelous. Everything he does is marvelous.
The Oh Marvelous Mr.
He is
Omar?
a liaison to the stars.
So-
Some on earth and not.
okay. Okay.
You are.
So the celebrity liaison thing.
It's a real
now,
thing.
Now I gotta tell the story.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. On my Instagram, it says celebrity liaison, which came from a joke where I met a lady who made edibles.
Oh, snap.
Okay. And she basically was just like, yo, I make edibles. If you ever need edibles, like hit me up. It was just super random. And then I was like, okay. And then one day we were having a party for my cousin, for Miguel. I don't know if you know, Miguel's my cousin. And I was like, okay, yo.
No, he left that part out. But it's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
He's like,
So,
I don't know. You know,
I don't know.
I don't
That's
know.
like so lame, right?
Crazy. I
The
don't know.
point is
Is he a
that-
musician?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sings a song or two. So, like, he was having a party, so I was like, yo, if you need edibles, I think I know this lady. We just connected, got edibles for the party.
From the edible lady.
From the edible lady. So I was like, oh, look at me. I'm a celebrity liaison. I threw that on the Instagram and just left it there. And now, like, I catch shit for it. But
He
I'm
doesn't
not going
catch
to take
shit.
it off.
He's the liaison.
I'm gonna liaise my ass off. What do you need? Something? You need a water or something?
Meanwhile, we're trying to liaise some
You need
Uncle
a
Nearest
drink?
bottles.
You need a drink? Watch this. Nigel, make another old fashioned, please. Boom. Hit me up.
It's closer to you.
I will liaise anything you need.
He's pretty good at that. So
That
if
is
you ever need a
amazing.
liaison,
No, I was thinking about that. I was like, you should put that on cards.
I should.
You should have
Does Vistaprint still exist?
Actually, it does.
Hell yeah. For all your quality business card needs. I mean, it's like having two
Liaison.
businesses because it says Vistaprint on there. So they're like, do you work for Vistaprint? I'm like, nah, like that's a deal I have
That's
with
the
them.
deal I have.
I have to
It's
leave them
cool.
as
You're
like
sponsored.
promotion. Yeah, I'm sponsored by Vistaprint.
and your
paid for
pictures on
these.
That's
the
what I tell. I didn't pay for these. They paid me to have these. They gave me $1.99 and then sent me 1,000 business
Jesus,
cards.
he's amazing. First it's
Hey.
Fabuloso, now it's Vistaprint.
I
Jesus
just love
Christ.
it. Now you just need your own hashtag. That's all. That's all you're
I
missing.
know.
Maybe we'll get some sponsorship.
It's got something.
So
I'm only going
we're
for
bringing it
like,
back. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Okay.
Too good.
okay.
I'm not
I'm
remember
starting
that.
at the bottom of the project.
I apologize in advance if I start sending you out in the world as that.
As you
oh,
should.
oh, yo, you need a lead. I know.
Dude.
Perfect one.
He has a picture on his card.
You know, my Instagram and Twitter used to say producer extraordinaire, and then I changed that because I was
Thank
like,
you.
I set the bar too high.
Yeah.
Because
If
people
the
were like,
project sucks,
she ain't no extraordinaire.
He'll be in your DMs like, you fuck.
I doubt anyone's gonna hit me like Johnny Depp's gonna hit me up. He's like, oh, I need a case of wine.
Yeah.
Can you hook me up?
Hey,
you
I'm a
hook me up?
celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do? What
I'd like you to
do
liaise
do?
something for me. I'm like, ah.
Hey, we can make it work. Fire Festival work. Liaison.
See, no.
No.
But now you're setting them up to be
No,
fake,
because
so.
then what if they need water? I'm not ready.
Jesus Christ.
That ain't me. Y'all gonna die of thirst?
No, what if they-
Jesus Christ.
What if they need water? If you can't get water,
No water.
sorry.
Fire. The roof's on fire. So, okay. Question. When you are getting into the creative mode, you guys are looking at projects to create, to produce. What is that mode like? How does it start? Is there a certain process that you always go to now that you're starting to be very successful at what you're doing, or how does it roll?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, look, as a producer, wow, that's what we're doing.
Gumbo Pop Podcast.
It's commercial break.
No commercials.
Actually, let me.
Oh, there we go. A little
Go ahead,
splish.
go ahead and put that in there.
Oh,
While I still got the mixer.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
There's some ice right there. Because
Oh,
we
is that
care.
what that was
That's
for?
some ice,
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually was wondering why there was just a couple
Although
of
now
ice,
you'll
but-
probably have to put your hand in there because it's all like water.
Yeah.
I got it.
Did you see the
Let's
skill?
go,
That
let's
was
go,
Las
let's go,
Vegas
let's
right there.
If her time as a flair bartender,
It's in my blood. It's in my
You
blood.
better pick that
let's
up.
do this
sister.
again.
Oh, wait. Oh, this is.
Yeah,
Oh, y'all
we're
working on
just
just
gonna
sip
do
it? Okay, cool. Cheers.
Eyeballs. There you go. Good thing. You better connect them eyes.
We're all connected.
Oh, wow, that's much better watered down. Wow.
There you go.
I could drink it. Okay, sorry.
So
Creative
your
mode.
creative
Okay.
process, creative mode. How are you getting into that mode? What do you have a go-to thing?
Okay.
Marquis said he eats breakfast burritos.
Marquis is so crazy.
He's a special.
That sounds so much like
He's
him.
a special
He's a
individual.
goofy special individual. No, okay, so you want like the work official version of it, or you want like the Denise version? Of
We
it?
we sitting here
Denise
drinking
version, like-
bourbon with
Okay,
your
'cause
boys.
here's the Denise
Yeah.
version. So this is unaffiliated with Issa Rae Productions and Color Creative. No, but so for me,
like that.
honestly, my own creative process is I smoke weed, but only at night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that during the day, very sober of mind, I'm doing a million things,
Mm-hmm.
and I never have time to decompress and just gather my thoughts or gather my creative thoughts on anything. But late at night, one of my favorite things to do is like I'm a night owl, you know, and
Okay.
I try to be a morning person, and I'm just not one of those people. Like I can never just get up at 6 a.m. to start my day. I just can't. I don't know, but I can stay up till 2, 3 a.m. and finish my day.
I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah, but what I do those last couple hours is create. You know, a lot of times is where I come up with the best ideas about things. A lot of times it's where I'm able to read and formulate my thoughts and opinions on like feedback. And even lately, especially with Colored Creative, because the brand and the company has been growing in so many different directions, most of them have been off the cuss ideas that I keep having at night while I'm high.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, we should start this. We should go do this.
Okay.
But the process itself, I think, as a producer, one of my favorite things is that I'm never in it alone, right? Because my job is a collaborator
It's
at
always
heart.
a team.
It's always a team. And so I never have to, like, I might be alone in my own thoughts with an idea or just a thought starter, but then I'm able
You
to
can
go.
bounce it off of
Yeah.
people.
And then that's why I love my relationship with Issa, because I'll be like, hey, girl, I had this crazy idea. And I'll come to her and she'll be like, yo, that's dope. And then give me her feedback and make it better. Or, you know, or be like, nah, girl, what was you smoking? Because like, that's not hot. So, but in a project, like specifically, you know, I can go to the writer and be like, yo, I had some, you know, a crazy idea of how to do this. Like, so bad example, not a bad example, but I met a writer. I read a pilot of hers. It was a TV script and it was really good, but like not like there as it relates to being like, oh, this is like one of the best TV scripts I've read. But I was like, but there's something there. And when I met her, I was like, I don't know, crazy idea. I'm gonna tell you the first thing that came to my mind. You ever thought about like, I don't know, making it into a movie and doing like a Fatal Attraction type version because you already have it, but it's just not enough story as a show? And she was like, I've never thought about that, but that makes so much sense. And now she wants to go write it. And I was like, cool, come back to me when you write it.
Yeah,
but like,
perfect.
you know, it's like those collaborative ideas that you can have that's creative.
Seems like it's a
and-
good space to be collaborative. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
well, because there's a thing in Hollywood, we call them bad ideas, and you pitch bad ideas all the time.
time.
And you know, 9
There's a lot
times
of
out of
yes men
10,
that are
some
like-
of them are good ideas, but you're just like, they're all bad. They're all bad.
Yeah.
And the ones that people respond to, you're like, yeah, that was a good one. I didn't see. I knew he was.
Well, I mean,
he
I've
was
heard
gonna
like a
it.
lot of directors and producers and stuff talk about how like the audience or the collective, like they only know the stuff that gets picked up, but they don't know all the other stuff that people try to make that just falls like completely flat.
Yeah, well, that and sometimes the thing is so crazy that I'm in the job that I'm in because the conversation that you have about story and about characters, and sometimes it gets so analytical and so just like meaningful, and you just, you know, you go off the deep end, and for an hour, I'm like, what the, like if someone was listening to this conversation who had nothing to do with film and TV, they'd be like,
What the hell
what
are you
the hell are
talking
you
about?
talking about? What are you
Right,
doing?
exactly.
Because we're like, well, what's the intention? Well, did you get the arc? And when we talk about the protagonist and like, you know, like, well, what's the inciting incident? Like once you go from the act one, like, you know, what's the climax that you get to act 3 and people are just like, I don't, like you're speaking another language. But you like just dive into the story in such a way. And then you're like, well, what's the theme? Like, what are you trying to say with this? And people are like, I
We're
don't.
like, well, I was
No.
just trying to tell you a story.
Yeah.
And you kind of just
Who's your audience?
They're just trying to make
Who's
it
your
back home.
audience? Who are you making this for? Who do you want to watch this? Yeah, it's crazy. What about the tone? It can go on and on. There's
like, oh, it's not
there's
gonna
so
play.
many things that you just talk about, but it's the beauty of like I think my job, because I'm like sometimes I have to pitch myself because I'm like this is what I make a living doing.
hey,
I go around talking about stories all day long. That
talk about
sounds
stories
cool.
and what's in your head and
and,
actually.
and,
It's all-
and I have
it's-
2 degrees in this.
Right.
Okay?
Well, you get to
it
like
sounds
just
crazy.
play
Sounds
make
crazy.
believe, like you know what I mean, and create things out of nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like you've been working with like all this episodic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, have you tried to do like, or have your eyes set on like a feature film just to give it a shot?
1000%. Film was actually my first love. When I was an undergrad, when I was studying like the industry, I thought I was going to be a producer in features. And then obviously in grad school, the industry changed. I ended up in digital, which parlayed into TV.
Right.
And then a couple years ago, I was like, hey, so girl, so can we start developing movies now?
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, absolutely. So we moved into that space. But true story, talk about creative. I met this young writer duo, these kids who were from New York. One of them used to be this assistant to like the director of the original Hamilton play, right?
Okay.
And so he's like this young black queer kid who was like super dope, went to school for like writing music for the narrative, like storytelling. Linked up with this kid who was more or less like, I just want to write. And they became a writing duo. So the two of them
Perfect.
come to LA. This company was like, hey, you know, their old boss was like, just send him out on meetings. Will you meet with them? You guys meet with young writers all the time. Yeah, of course. So I met with them, hit it off for like 2 hours. And, you know, I have a very fondness for musicals. Like, it's one of my truest loves. So I'm like, I'm going to make a great musical one day. And so we totally hit it off because their whole thing is music and narratives, right? Hamilton background, all this stuff. And, and just for 2 hours, just kikied. And I was like, I'm going to tell you guys this crazy idea I had in the shower one day. I don't know. I've always wanted to tell this, like, interracial love story between a Black woman and a Hispanic guy in, like, the backdrop of America right now and make it a musical. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, that's crazy. And 2 months later, they came to me and fleshed the idea out. And they were like, will you hear our take on your idea? And I was like,
Hear the songs that we wrote?
Almost there, but it was like, they pitched this whole
crazy.
story that they created based off of, like, us riffing and this random, like, nugget of an idea.
Young
and I was like,
with
yo,
ideas.
this is really dope. And, for them, I was like, you know what? I need to pair you guys with, like, a little bit more of an experienced feature writer. And they really wanted a Black woman, another Black woman as a writer to be involved. And so I paired them with the woman, Amy Aniobi, who's a writer-producer on Insecure with us, who's, like, been writing a bunch of features on her own and who's super dope. And she's a big musical buff. So I was like, you should just meet these kids and hear this thing that we're working on. And she met them and they all fell in love and they had a big kiki. They're like BFFs now. Like, they were at each other's birthday parties. I was like, what just happened? And then 6 months later, they were like, yo, so we've been working on the pitch. We want to we want to tell you the whole thing. They had a whole song played out. It was a thing. And then they were like, cool. So you need to want to do this. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I'm going to give you guys some feedback. Tweak your pitch. Issa hates musicals, so I have to go and tell her that I've been doing this project for a year.
I gotta go complete.
But
I've been
so
working
I
on
can't
said
just, like,
project.
set it up because, like, she might walk in and be like, "What is this?"
Why are they singing?
But I knew, like, that the story itself was dope enough, and it was almost there. So I was like, make these tweaks, make a couple of these changes, and then let me know. And in the meantime, I'm gonna tell you about this, so that way, when you guys are ready, next time you pitch it back to me, it should be with me and Issa so she can hear it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, cool. So I did my thing. They were like, we're ready. And I think having Amy involved, she was excited. So Issa sat down. They did the whole song pitch dance, the whole pitch to us about this movie. Mm-hmm. And Issa was like, that is one of the strongest pitches I've ever heard.
Okay.
And 2 weeks later, we went out and pitched to 8 studios and we sold it to Universal in November as our first film in Color Creative World. So
that's tight.
Nice. But true story, talk about a creative process. It all started from this, like, oh yeah, I'll have coffee with these young kids and, like, just talk about what they want to write and what I'm excited about. And that little idea just snowballed and became a real movie 1 year later, almost to the day that I met them. So that's what I do for a living, guys.
Give a little sprinkle. Give a little sprinkle.
Little something, something.
All right.
Fine, I'll do it. I mean, I will.
Hold on.
I will do it.
Oh, okay. So Omar, I want you to clap, and then I'm gonna do the DigiSlate.
Might have to try to time it. Am I late? Was I on beat?
No, you were like,
welcome back.
And we're back. That was a great commercial.
a lot has happened during this commercial break.
Love that commercial.
That was a great
Look
commercial.
out for that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody paid for you guys to watch
Somebody
this.
look out for that. We're all actually very proud that that's coming out, and I hope you guys will enjoy it.
He uses the product
I do.
Yeah, it was a commercial for his next movie.
and his yeah. That's exactly what it was. They paid
El
a lot of
Gran
money.
Frijol. That's what it's gonna be called. It's gonna be like the giant. It's kind of like not the giant bean, but like the great bean.
So is the Great Bean giant, or is it just like
I mean, it depends. I don't know. There could be like a
what
magic
makes a
potion
great
where I
bean?
get like I'm a giant. The point is I'm.
Omar and the Giant Beanstalk.
There you go.
Yes.
And you're producing the
Yeah.
movie.
Boom.
Can I cater
It's
it?
gonna have Roald Dahl turning in his grave.
Can I cater the movie? I'm just saying. Just put brother on.
All right, should we digislate again? Since
know.
this is such a mess.
No, I think we're good. I think we're
we're
good.
good.
I'm
We're
getting a
good.
signal from.
I think we're good.
Back it up. Back it up.
Back it up.
I think we're good. I like it. I like the DigiSlate. I like all that. So, question.
Never mind. Leave this all in.
He doesn't even know where he's supposed to start.
Did you
It's
slip?
fine.
Well, question. Okay.
I like the Digislate.
I
I like the Digislate. It's real nice.
Got it. All right. So, this is the Gumbo Pot Podcast and the DigiSlate. Sponsorship dollars, baby.
Sponsors
You
by
see it rolling in.
DigiSlate.
Rolling in.
The only free app that sounds like a slate.
So touching on, we spoke about growing up in Las Vegas. You said it is a tourist town.
Yes.
So like, whenever I go to Vegas, there's a couple taco spots that I go to. They
Where?
may not be great. I can't even remember. I was drunk.
Where?
But they
There's
were
only one good taco spot in Vegas.
okay. So what's the good taco spot in Vegas? What's your go-to spot in Vegas?
You are not a true Vegas person unless you've hit up Roberto's.
Roberto's. Okay.
Roberto's is a local franchise taco shop. When I grew up there was only like 4, but they're famous because they're open 24 hours. So
Okay.
Vegas is like, you hit up Roberto's at the end of every night, you know?
All right, so but where along? Is it along the strip,
No,
off the strip?
actually, I don't
Like
know
all
if there's
the-
any on the strip now, but they're all local
Okay.
spots. But like,
Right.
there was only 4-ish when I grew up, and now when I go home, there's probably like, I don't know, 15, 20. Like, they just like spread out. Well, because Vegas has grown so fast too, so they just like popped up in all these other places.
Okay.
But it's all still the same menu, and it's great. So I can go and get me a little carne asada burrito for like $5. Bomb, freshly made. Like, it's real Mexican food.
Okay.
All
Where
right.
are your people from?
Well, interesting. You know, I did Ancestry.com.
Uh-oh.
But
You
here's
just
the thing.
gave away your DNA like that?
Yeah, I did, because
Just sounds.
but what I found
Don't
out,
trust him.
I grew up telling people I'm black, white, Mexican, because it's true. My grandmother, my great grandparents are both from Durango, Mexico. They were like Mexican Americans. So
From Durango?
from Durango. So
Like
so
how you
I
put
always
that
knew
sauce
that.
on there.
But see,
Scorpions all over the wall? Like, they love their scorpions.
no, but see, but my mom has a joke. She's like, don't tell your grandma she's really Mexican. She won't believe because they don't speak Spanish. So like,
okay.
I grew up, I don't speak Spanish, but I always knew it was in my lineage, right?
Okay.
So my mom was white Mexican, my father's black. So I did Ancestry, and I was like, yo, this is exciting. And what came back is I'm 6% Mexican/Native American, because Durango back in the day was like in the Native American thing. But I was like, but just 6%. So I can't tell people I'm black, white, and that, because now I feel like it's lying. So
I mean, 6%.
You know, in Hollywood it
6%
works.
is great, right?
6%.
But it was also like, but in your mind, you just assume you're like a third. You know, you're just like, oh, I'm all these things. And I was like, no.
But like, okay,
I'm
so,
not, so-
what was the biggest percentage, like number-wise? Just the
No,
number.
that's the thing, is I'm a little bit of everything.
Okay,
So like
time
if I
out, time
added
out.
up all the black side and all the white side,
What'd you grow up
I'm
eating?
like 3%.
What you grew up eating?
Where'd you grow up eating? That's where I'm at. Where'd you eat? That'll tell me where we at right
really?
now.
I thought we was going all deep. We're talking about food.
We
Well,
talking food,
Here's
know,
the thing. Okay,
food and
all
culture.
right, I'm gonna blow your
it
mind.
kinda-
I grew up eating soul food. My mom is white Mexican, but makes some of the best soul food I've ever had.
Okay.
Because she grew up in the culture, so she knows. She makes amazing greens, best greens I've ever had. Cabbage, like
okay.
everything you can think of. My mom can make it, but she's not white.
Okay.
She's, in my mind, she's not. She's not.
Okay.
So.
So did you inherit the cooking gene?
Well,
like,
so-
are you
What do you
around?
What do you bring
Do you
to the family
produce
cookout?
delicious dishes?
What are you bringing?
But most of the things I cook are from my mom's recipe.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
even like
Still counts.
growing up in college, being like, "Yo, ma, how you make your pasta salad?" So I got to do this, this cookout thing, and I got to bring a dish, and then that would become a recipe. But a couple years ago, or actually many years ago, my mom made me and my sister both recipe books. But she only put like 5 recipes in there, 6.
she don't wanna
and I
tell
was
you
mad because I was like,
everything. Like,
but no, I was like, Mom, there's more than that. And she goes, well, I just decided to start there because I know these are your favorites.
Nice.
And you can just ask me when you want more. And now, like, I feel like I haven't filled it out because I'm like, but I don't know. Like, you should just put them all in there because, like, whatever
Right.
happens, like, how am I going to continue the family tradition? She was like, oh, baby girl, you're going to have to figure out your own traditions. Like,
Jeez.
You're like, I don't have time for this.
So what's the go-to?
my,
Time
my
to set up
go-to,
traditions.
my current go-to / favorite is my girlfriend's favorite, which is greasy gravy chicken. So it's
Grease-
greasy gravy chicken.
Greasy gravy chicken.
Yes, which is like chicken thighs with some greasy gravy chicken sauce and rice, and then I do some sauteed green beans.
Explain the greasy gravy
Yeah, I
part.
want. Yeah.
Why is that?
Because
This
you
is
can't
like
call
you
something
wanna-
Okay,
greasy
so-
gravy
What if
chicken.
I have wake up in the morning? I'm like, oh, I would love some greasy gravy.
Well, 'cause if
but
I
I don't
tell
know
y'all
how to
it's
make
just-
it. All my gravy is
you
like
just-
non-greasy.
It's not greasy.
Like, what?
Okay, no. I mean, it's some chicken thighs. You season them well, put some oil. You fry them,
Okay.
right? Put the thighs in a pot. And then you move on to the sauce, which is, put some onions, some bell peppers, season that really well, some butter, make that into the mixture, pour that over the chicken. And then you put a couple secret ingredients in the pot, put some water, and let it simmer for 45 minutes. And then it gets real nice. The chicken gets really nice and soft, and you get some gravy in there, and you make the rice.
No, I feel
So-
like those secret ingredients is where all the grease part is. And I don't know.
No,
Oh,
honestly, the greasy
disappointed.
gravy part comes from the grease from the oil from cooking the chicken, and
Delicious.
when you
Because
do
it's thighs, it has the skin,
and
it's
then when you
gonna
do the
render a
onions
little
and
bit.
bell peppers, you're still cooking that in grease too. So it's like literally just taking the grease from the pot and put it in the same mix. So that's where the greasy gravy comes from. But
I like the marketing behind greasy gravy, even though it
It's
may
a-
not be
it's-
that greasy.
it's very catchy,
So,
right? Greasy
you know,
gravy chicken.
Here, let me
Trademark
pitch this
Gumbo
real
Pot
quick.
Podcast.
There you go.
Here we
Greasy
go.
gravy sauce.
My mom is gonna be so mad. She's
Recipes.
gonna be like, "Why you tell everybody how to
It's in
make
the
greasy
cookbook.
gravy chicken? That's my shit." I'm gonna be like, "But mom, I didn't tell them."
This
the
is
secret
season 1 cookbook.
ingredients."
This,
But she's gonna be like, "But now people can Google." Like, yeah, now I just started the whole thing.
This is
Well,
season
I'm
1
sorry.
cookbook material.
Okay.
You're gonna be
We
like,
should do that.
greasy gravy.
We should
market,
make a Gumbo Pot
boom.
Podcast cookbook. But season 1, I think it was just like taco seasoning burritos and now greasy gravy.
Miss Chase.
We're not gonna wait, Miss Chase.
Do
Miss
it.
Chase can throw down. Okay, I got a question though. Here's my question. So you've made something that you grew up eating that your mom made, right? You've
Yep.
done it as well. I've done it as well. Is it as good when you make it?
I think it's the memory for you.
Right?
I think
I feel like
if,
every time I
even
make
if
something
it's
my mom
it wasn't
makes,
the best
it's-
recipe, if it sparks that, yo, this is what my grandmother used to do. This is what it tastes like. Once you hit those notes, it don't even matter to you if it's,
Yeah.
you know.
I like to say that sometimes, I season it more. And then sometimes, well, not in the bad way, but sometimes I just like,
your palate,
you try to
for
do
sure.
your extra little spin on it. You'd be like, let me put extra butter in this because it's going to be bomb.
Your mom's gonna
and then
see
you're
this and
like,
she gonna
and then
say,
you eat
okay.
it and you call your mom and you're like, Mom, it don't taste the same. Well, what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I try to that's where you messed up. You try to mess up the recipe, trying to be all smart and stuff, and you
I've
mess
had
it up.
this conversation with my mom like a couple of times.
It's true. Well, then sometimes I have to catch myself because at the grocery store I'll call her and be like, "Hey, so is there a difference if I get the margarine or do I get the unsalted butter?" And she's like, "Okay, if you're calling me trying to figure out what the difference
Margarine.
is, you shouldn't be shopping." Like, but,
Butter makes it better, baby.
yeah. Well, in my mind, I was like, "It's salted, unsalted, and margarine. Is it not the same thing? Like, what is the difference?"
Don't do that.
Because let me tell you, the margarine is 99 cents on the pound,
I
and this
know,
is like
no,
$1.79.
I think
So.
margarine
Margarine
is
doesn't
like one
even-
molecule away from plastic.
Well, but then what I found out.
not.
That's
no,
equal.
but here's the thing. Then
Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm keeping this joke going.
But did you
Is
know,
it equal?
Did you know, and this is what you find out by your mom, is you guys should just have a podcast, be like, your mama knows best. Because here's the thing. I was like, the margarine, when I buy the margarine butter, it basically already
It's not
has.
butter. Don't even put butter
No,
in.
it's not, but it basically already has oil in it. Like she was like, it's kind of like not true butter.
Not just
So
face.
nice. I'm trying to explain this to the chef, and now I'm getting like
He's making
look.
that face where he
You know
looks like
what?
that baby
We're not-
from that old
we're-
dinosaur
we're,
show.
We're not going to talk about this anymore. We're not. I'm not.
Can't even make
Not the mama.
Not the mama.
That's cool. Okay, so
Cool. We're not going to talk about margarine. Let's move on.
So when we have, the Gumbo Pot Podcast dinner party, what are you bringing?
Ooh, whiskey?
Greasy gravy?
Oh,
Greasy gravy chicken.
she's in.
Hey, she's in. She got the whiskey. Okay.
Got the whiskey. No, I mean, what's my go-to outside of greasy gravy chicken? Because that takes a long time to prep and cook,
Greasy
and I get
gravy.
annoyed with
Get
it.
it. Oh.
But maybe I'll bring some monkey bread.
Monkey bread. Okay.
Yeah.
You invited to my house anytime, sister. Sorry.
That was amazing.
That's,
You hit
that's
that
like I just got some
spot.
chef
He was
props.
just like,
I just got some chef
monkey
props. He
bread.
was like, "Oh, you know what you're talking about."
It's just, some things you hear. When you hear it, you're just like, oh, that just sounds
I gotta do
amazing.
it.
He was also like the face.
Hey, there's things when you hear it, it just sparks that, right? You hear monkey bread, you're like,
Bugs Bunny.
You be like, barbecue shrimp.
He's like, I could taste it.
Say
monkey
thong.
bread.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
monkey
shit.
bread.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, okay, we're getting
my
to
God.
close to the ending of this podcast.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up.
We're gonna continue to drink, and she's not gonna go
Yes.
to her party.
Oh, I'm going to this party.
What is it?
Keep
Oscar
drinking.
week? Is it?
It's Oscar week. It's Oscar's party.
Oh, she got parties to go to, and she.
Ain't nobody. I ain't getting no awards or nothing.
But I mean,
I'm just there to bask in the ambiance.
hey, you're in that Hollywood
So.
A-list. And I'm just
Am
glad
I?
that you took like a couple hours out of your time to
you
come with the
took
Gumbo
the
Pot
Globe, right?
podcast first.
I have not gone to the Globes. I go to the after parties.
Yeah.
But I'll skip the awards unless
I think
have
the
to.
Golden Globes is better than the Oscars because you can get like drunk at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, no, because they drink the whole
Yeah,
time,
they
which
drink.
is great. But I skipped those awards, which is great. The NAACP awards are on my birthday this year, and Insecure has like 8 nominations. So I was like,
And you're like,
turn up birthday.
That's a great reason to have,
I ain't gotta
like,
make
birthdays.
no plans because I'm gonna drink for free. I'm gonna eat for free. And I'm gonna be with all my friends. So,
Can we come?
I don't know if it's open to the
Oh,
public.
shit.
Already. I don't know.
Damn it, we not
I will-
popping yet,
I'ma
Daddy.
try.
We gotta
I
slow
Why
like
it
don't you
wait
try
down.
to,
till
why don't you
off
try to go
camera
get a
to
chef
get
gig
rejected.
and try to go
Hey,
cook and
that's
make
real.
the
But
food?
that's just
Because
me.
here's the thing, they have soul food. papers and just we'll have to
Hey,
talk about that.
that's we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
All right. Well,
All right.
Teacher Slay. Ender of all awkward conversations.
It wasn't awkward though.
It wasn't awkward. I just was like,
I felt it.
There's a camera. There's a recording thing on my chest. I was like, I shouldn't say too much.
You're like, you can't
Yes,
go.
it fucking did. So okay.
Okay, sorry.
Every episode of the Gumbo Pop Podcast, we always ask our guests for a tidbit of knowledge or a pearl of wisdom. So you're in the hot seat now. Like, give the next aspiring producer, writer, director that's looking at this episode, all 50 of our guests. But like, drop some knowledge for them. Tell them, what would you tell yourself? You're 18. Well, I mean, you knew it at 16.
You can't use me as an example.
Okay, but for the
Wow.
next aspiring you,
No, I mean it's
what
okay.
would you tell your 16-year-old self?
So I will put this advice towards like this generation now that is also afforded a lot more opportunities than I was, right? Like
Okay.
kind of in their same bracket. But the biggest thing, is that you don't need there's no excuses. There's no gatekeepers. There's no reason why you can't just create your own shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't necessarily need Hollywood. You need to find a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find some great content, some great ideas, some great scripts that you want to be able to be a part of. And there's no reason why if you want to be a DP, you can't pick up a camera and go learn how to shoot things. You want to go be a great director, there's no reason why you can't go find some actors and go direct. You want to be a producer, go find people's shit to produce, right? You want to be a writer, go write. We are living in a time that I think there are no excuses. And my biggest piece of advice is like, so many people want to get to us and have us put them on. And I'm like,
Put yourself on.
yeah, put yourself on. And also, quite honestly, the way our trajectory worked, we put ourselves on. Like I didn't ask for permission
build
to
it,
be here.
they will
We
come
built it
kind of
ourselves.
thing.
Yeah. And so my biggest piece of advice for any aspiring creator is to just do it and not wait for anyone to give you permission, not wait for someone to tell you that you're good enough, and just do it, and little by little you will get better and you will achieve whatever it is you're trying to do. But like at the end of the day, there's no excuse. We live in a day and age where there's no longer that, traditional system where it's like someone else has
There's
to
a
put you
gatekeeper
on.
that we have to impress
Nah.
before we can even say yes. It's like, no, we have some content. We put it out. We own it.
Great. And you know
Hey.
what? And you make some dope content, people come to you. And that's how it works. That is the reality. If it's dope enough, people will see it and they will talk about it, and you'd be surprised on who's looking for you at that point. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice is like, don't make no excuses.
Okay.
So
Don't make no excuses, y'all.
no excuses.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. You say yes. Guess what?
This is how we're gonna sign off on. Now you're
I'm never
to
gonna
every
live this down
podcast.
forever.
Monkey bread.
They have monkey bread. I blame it on the whiskey. Well, all right, guys. This is we're coming to the end of the Gumbo Pop Podcast. We want to thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks
For-
for
It
having
was
me.
amazing. It was
This has
such
been,
a good
it's been a lot
time.
of fun.
I mean, if we had a
tried.
couple more hours, we talk some more, we drink some more. Omar would pitch his projects to you.
Man,
All right,
I
I
was
gotta
just
go.
trying to get on your job. No, hold on.
Oh.
You
see what
kidnapped
happens?
now.
He's ruined it for me. I feel like I was making headway, and it's over.
Well, all right. On this note, we go cheers.
Cheers.
Wrap it up.
Cheers.
Eyeballs.
To the bottle. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
thank you.
much. Appreciate it.
No eyeballs?
I thought we did.
No, you didn't, but it's okay.
Oh, she caught us. I need to look out.
No, they were like, goodbye.
It's like it's hot in this motherfucker. It's hot. Thank you. See, we got you relaxed.
Thank you. Well, that was fun.
Thank you.
Probably one of the most fun podcasts I've ever done.
How many have you done?